Hey, sister, I'm so excited that you are here right now. This is going to be a really empowering discussion that we're going to have. It's something that we're going to actually put something tangible to overcoming cravings. We have tons of awesome tips and tricks like downing water or those kind of things to help the physiological side of it. But much often, what we're doing with a craving is that we're hungry, but we're not necessarily hungry for food. We're hungry for something that's deeper within us. Food is something that produces an emotional part of our body. It produces physiological endorphin rushes, and this is something that can happen from many different angles. And it can be a source from different reasons. Okay, so whenever we are wanting to eat something just based on a craving, not because of a physiological addiction to it or a physiological adaptation to it, which can also happen because the more we eat stuff that is overfilling to us, the more we need more later on to get that same kind of feeling. That's why we can build up a tolerance to it. But whenever it's really past that physiological side of it, the other portion of that is that hunger that we're trying to feed emotionally. And you may not even realize that you're trying to feed your emotions. You may not even think, I don't even emotionally eat. This isn't for me. And I'm here to tell you that it is still for you. Everybody does this. Every time we have a taste, it gives us the endorphin rush. Food gives us an endorphin rush. It just does. It's physiologically how we're supposed to be motivated to eat. But whenever we are incidentally using that in different ways, that's whenever cravings get really bad and really difficult for us to overcome. So we're going to break it down, all the different reasons why you might be emotionally eating, and we're going to show ourselves how to overcome that. Okay? But the first thing is just identifying what it is that we are coping with. We have to know what we're working with, right? Okay, so in the way that we're going to do this is we are going to look at Maslow's hierarchy of need. This is something that I thought, I'm going to throw this out as soon as I get out of graduate school. And then lo and behold, I really found, oh my gosh, this is exactly why people have cravings, because they are trying to fulfill one of these reasons. So if you have the handout with you, we can kind of go over Maslow's, and I'm going to show you how that applies to eating and to cravings and to food highs, okay? Now at the very bottom, it's physiological, right? And that's eating, sleeping, sex, homeostasis, staying healthy, physically, staying alive, breathing, those things at the very basis, right? And food does that for us also. There's times when we're legitimately just hungry. So next to that is our food hierarchy, right? Our association with food, not Maslow's, but the food association, and food fits that. It fits us physiologically. It can meet that need. And that's one part of what it does. It can also have to do with our safety. So Maslow's hierarchy of safety, if you're looking at that, security of body, employment, morality, family, health, and those are all part of the safety portion, making sure that we are not harmed, okay? Now with the safety, in that same section, maybe eating with family members, or having a taste aversion. Sometimes taste aversions can be learned, something that, oh, we just never ate that in my family. That was kind of deemed as something that's gross, so we don't eat it. You're avoiding things that might be with vegetables. A lot of people avoid vegetables, or even water. They'll even avoid water because they're like, that's just not something I ever used. I always just drink tea, or I always just drink soda. And so it's a safety thing, psychologically blocking them from being able to like the taste of something. Now there are physiological reasons why we don't like some taste. People's tongues are different. But for the most part, like whenever it comes to water and stuff like that, that's a safety adaptation that you have kind of installed into your own psyche, and that we can help ourselves by identifying it, overcome it. Love and belonging. So that is more specifically with our friendships, our family relationships. So not just the safety of being in the herd, right? We're moving up onto love and being, and that's the intimacy. Those are the kind of things that that are in a little bit deeper of a relationship, right? On Maslow's hierarchy. It's our third triangle up, third part of the triangle up. And that relates to belonging, right? Whenever we're looking at a nutritional pyramid, that relates to belonging. And it's eating with others, going out to eat for somebody's birthday in a group or a party, or, sitting around the football game and you're kind of all snacking on the same thing, right? It's not necessarily, it's not just a safety thing. This is now belonging. Like it's kind of nostalgic. It's fun to just kind of pick and hang out with everybody. And that might be a motivating factor. And it's not bad to always feed into that. But we just need to recognize that that's the need that I'm fulfilling with eating in this moment. When I'm eating that pretzel or that chip and the chip and dip and the cheese and those kind of things with other people, I'm fulfilling a social need. Right. And it's okay to do that from time to time. I don't discourage you from doing that at times when it's right. But we just need to recognize it. We just need to know what it is that we're doing. So then we can allow for it, enjoy that part of it, go somewhere, enjoy that time with people, but realize that, okay, I can still kind of hang out and not eat every single one that's in front of me. Right? And if I'm wanting to just a whole bunch of binge, then there's something else going on. It's not just about the social, because I could take a few here and there and still be interacting with people. So knowing that that's a part of it, but being able to analyze, is that the whole picture? So then we go into our fourth triangle up, and we're looking at esteem. So this is confidence, achievement, respect of others, and then being respected by others. Okay, so this is something that's more important to different people at different various levels, but we all have that. We all need to make sure that we are feeling that we belong and that we're respected and that what we're doing is good. Whenever it comes to food being used in that hierarchy of need, it will typically be things like coffee, alcohol, social, even more so in social, and just kind of like eating a certain brand, or those kind of things, like a status quo that I only eat at these places, or I only do that. Like that might be a reason why you are motivated to eat a certain way or in a certain place. And that can be good and that can be bad, right? We might be going to things that are not necessarily healthy, but they're really popular or they're really kind of ritzy, and it may not be healthy necessarily, but we are associating that, right? And then the pentacle, which is, I don't remember the number, but most people don't ever reach the self-actualization. It's the very top of our triangle. It's the very top triangle, self-actualization. And that goes more into morality, problem solving, overcoming prejudice between people and with yourself, and then acceptance of facts. So that's when we're really kind of diving deep and we're understanding everything. And that's where I want you to be with your eating and with your nutrition. I want you to become a steward of it, where you just love learning about all the different things that the foods do for you, and how much AC helps your body, and antioxidants decreases your risk for disease, and it helps your mood and helping that gut health, how much that plays in your mental health, and knowing all of those ins and outs. That's the pentacle of it. And that is our self-actualization part of hierarchy whenever we're looking at nutrition. And it's really coming from the perspective of we are what we eat, right? And we are nourishing our body. There's a deeper reason for it, and there's multiple different reasons. And whenever we can reach that portion of it, we can help ourselves a lot. So we might be using it so it's kind of a rehash to kind of understand this. Physiologically, we might be using food for that. We do that a lot, right? That's a normal thing. We should be doing that. Could be for safety, for belonging, for self-esteem. Part of that self-esteem also when we're doing it for food. It might be just emotions making us feel good. That may also kind of be a part of safety, though. And it's kind of a difficult one to really categorize. But if we're using it because we just want to feel good, we've been upset about something and now we just want to feel good. Okay, so how do we reach an area of knowing, of becoming self-actualized? Like, how do we actually achieve that? And I know that this is something that you're going to think, well, this has nothing to do with my eating. And it really and truthfully does, because whenever you can find your self-actualization in other sources, you won't necessarily have to reach for food to feel better. You won't have to fill that void and that hunger, that emotional hunger with food. You'll have other things that do that for you. Okay. So whenever we're looking at that, the first thing we want to do is to let go of perfectionism. Oh, that's so hard to do, isn't it? We talk about that in other modules where it is we don't ever want to sacrifice progress for perfection. As a matter of fact, if you're trying to do perfection, you're probably dieting. You're probably being way too strict on yourself, and you're going to end up becoming human, not a robot, not be able to stay on that super strict diet, avoid those things that you really love 24/7. You have to be able to find a balance there where you can ease yourself into doing something better. It's always about progress. It's not about perfection. Okay, and so many people think that a self-actualized person is perfect. They're the person that always has the best presentation. They're the one that always does this, always does that. When really and truthfully, they may be the most messed up person around and you just don't know it because there's so much of a perfectionist at hiding those things, right? They're not real. They're not raw. I'm not judging anyone, but that's, perfection is not the goal. Progress is the goal. And when we realize that in our life, that is what's going to help us with eating. Because probably, I want you to think about this for a second. If you rush through your food super fast, do you rush through life super fast? If you eat a lot more when you're emotional, do you have more reactions whenever you're emotional? Do you, look at food from the angle of something that you have to do or something that gives you anxiety? Do you have high anxiety in life? Usually the way that we go about food really and truthfully reflects how we are, or how we are as a person reflects how we usually go about eating. Okay, so it is a representation of one way that you do things. Are you a complete perfectionist in it? Do you feel like you have to eat perfect, or you're a failure? Probably you're a perfectionist in other areas, and we need to fix those other areas, and then an amazing transformation happens whenever it happens to our eating habits. It also changes the way that we eat, and it's almost effortlessly at that point because we're working on the root cause of things. So my second tip for you is to find out about yourself. What makes you you? And what do you really and truthfully want? What do you care about? Dive into those things. Allow yourself to have that time to do that so that you're not feeling deprived. It's going to decrease the amount of anxiety that you have over the span. So then whenever maybe you're rushed for food or you have something, it's not a built up anxiety. Whenever you're living independently into your true and actual self and what you have passion about, I want you to journal about that. What do I have passion about that I am leaving out of my life on a regular basis? And how can I put that back into my life? I want you to crave the truth. So I want you to, whenever you're really, really craving food, I want you to chug a bottle of water, see if that craving goes away. If it doesn't go away, is there something else there? I don't want you to go about it from the point of condemning yourself. I want you to go back from the point of curiosity. Get super interested and intrigued about it. That's the part of this of self-actualization, is that we're just curious and we want to know the ins and the outs. And don't condemn it, just get curious about it. Try to find out things. Being comfortable with the unknown. That's something that's really good. When you're comfortable with yourself, you can step into a room of people that you don't know and be okay with that. Because you know that the way that they look at things, or the way that they view things, or if they do or they don't like you, doesn't have any impact on who you are. So I want you to really and truthfully get comfortable with the unknown. Know that you are enough exactly how you are. Be okay with the fact that, relating that to our eating, be okay with the fact that a craving's a little bit uncomfortable. Be okay with that. Don't think, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Don't tell yourself, I can't fight this craving. All I can think about is that food. I just want it so bad. Be okay with that. Remind yourself that you are really strong and you're going to figure this thing out. You're going to get creative. And be okay with the fact that that's going to happen sometimes, and let it go. Say, that's okay. I have a craving and I really want it, but I want to be strong today. I want to be strong today, and that's okay. It's okay that I'm going to have a little bit of a craving. There's worse things in the world, right? There's worse things in the world. I can go through that. And if it's a real true breakdown, then, and it's something that you know you're going to obsess over for weeks, if you don't let yourself do it, find a healthier treat. right? We're not trying to endorse perfectionism through this. Still progress. But be okay with it. Know there's going to be times that I kind of want that, but that's okay. It's really okay. Like, it can get better. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable on things. Have compassion, kindness, and acceptance. So this is something that's very important for self-actualization in our own life. Having compassion for other people, being able to relate, having a need to be like Jesus, to where I literally and truthfully enjoy helping other people. It makes me feel really good when I see other people feel really good because of something that I did. But when it relates to our food, sister, I need you to be compassionate with yourself. I need you to know and realize that when I feel good, when I'm happy and I'm nice to myself, I'm nicer and happier to other people, and that makes them happy. But honestly, even without the other people in the equation, I'm worthy of that. I am worthy of being at peace and happy. Okay, so have compassion for others, becoming more self-actualized, but in our nutrition side of things, I want you to also be more self-actualized. I'm more compassionate with yourself. Okay, get that joy out of being happy. That's a good thing. Being happy is a gift from God. It's not something that anyone is meant to be deprived of. Be okay with that. Don't feel guilty about that. Have a good sense of humor. Okay, so we should be that way with everyone, right? You see someone mess up, that's okay. Like, don't worry about it. Don't fret it. Be able to laugh about it if you can. That always helps in every situation. Well, I want you to have a good sense of humor about yourself. Oh my gosh, I just ate so much at that. Like, I just went crazy. I couldn't stop myself. Okay, that's okay. Laugh about that. Be okay with that. There's going to be times that happens, right? Joke about it. Be okay with it. Learn from it. Try to improve. Okay, but have a good sense of humor about things. Enjoy the meaningfulness. So I want you to find your passion and meaning in life and look at those great, amazing things instead. So let's say that I'm emotionally eating, I'm stressed. I really just want to eat that cookie really bad, or that brownie, or that cake and ice cream, or whatever it is, because it'll make me feel better. Find something else that truthfully makes you feel better. Think about your children. Think about your children's happiness. Think about what you're going to do with them. Fill your mind. Substitute those thoughts with happy thoughts. It will change your energy. It'll make it much easier. Change your energy in that moment. You have the ability to do that. Even if you sit there and you meditate for just 60 seconds, take yourself out of that low vibe, that craving, that stress, whatever it is, put yourself into a high vibe feeling. And be creative and spontaneous. Okay, so that's something that's important for becoming self-actualized, climbing that ladder on Maslow's hierarchy. But it's also something that's really important whenever we're trying to be healthy. So when I first started being healthy, I got pretty creative about things. I took a box of mac and cheese and I added peas and carrots into it. It was the only veggie I liked at the time, right? That was several years ago. That was probably a decade ago at this point. Maybe about 12 years ago. Almost 13 years ago. That was my first healthy meal. I got creative, right? And then I started taking like tuna helpers. I'm like, well, tuna's a healthier meat, so I'm going to do tuna helper. Still tons of chemicals and carbs and all the bad things, right? But I'm going to add broccoli to it. That's even better, right? And it's so mashed up in all that sauce that I can't even taste it. And then I'm going to start doing half a plate of veggies, like a whole bunch of veggies, and a smaller portion of the tuna pasta. Right? So we get creative, or I started halving my cereal, or I started using different sweeteners. Get creative with how you're doing things. You don't have to have a one thing fits all. Piece together different meals to make them more balanced. If you're doing your frozen foods, think of different ways that you can use guacamole as your like dressing instead of mayonnaise, or thinking about using pickles, like cutting up pickles and using that as a vinegar for your salad so that you're not doing tons of ranch. There's tons of different ways that you can really get creative and try different things and different flavors. And every time you try a different flavor, I want you to research it, right? So that's part of it. I want you to research, what makes this healthy? What am I helping my body do? Am I decreasing inflammation? Am I decreasing cardiovascular disease? Am I helping my arteries clear up? what am I doing what is that food doing for me, right? I want you to get creative about it in every aspect, learn about it, become a super investigator, have more than one reason. It's not ever just about weight. Have more than one thing that you're thinking about at all times. And always have those written down too, okay? Be creative about breaking old habits too. So how can I break a habit that I've had forever? So back when I was a smoker, I heard somebody do one time, and it didn't really work for me, but it's good for probably a lot of people. Which I allowed myself tons of candy. That's how I was able to switch one bad habit for another, right? And that's something you can do, something that's better for you. Switch that out for the thing that you crave all the time. If it's candy bars, switch it out the kind bar. Allow yourself to eat a kind bar every day, or a few every day, or whatever it is that you're already at, but then make it a healthier choice. Switch it out, get creative. But like in the car, like I get creative for breaking those bad habits, and that, okay, I have a sucker every time, and I pretend like I crack the window and have the sucker or whatever. And that one didn't work too much for me, but it did whenever I started switching it with things that I wanted, right? So I got creative on how I can break this habit, and that was just getting the wheels rolling, getting everything going, and being creative about it. Always stop and smell the roses, and don't allow big things to build up. Okay, so that's really and truthfully a big part of our overall health, and if we're going to be able to overcome this. Find what gives you true euphoria and anchor your thoughts to that. Okay, so this is the finding the why, right? We have other videos on this, so I'm not going to go into deep depth on this, but finding your why is super important because that gives you true euphoria. It gives me true euphoria to know that Gage sees a mom who's being healthy and he knows how to model a healthy lifestyle. It gives me true euphoria whenever I see him pick up his little fake weights and he's working out with me. Or he's talking about, this isn't healthy for you. I'm not going to have very much of it. He says those things. He's only 3 and he says those things. Or he says, this is healthy, so I'm going to try to eat a whole bunch of it, and it's just, he says those kind of things because he's looking at the big picture. He's not condemning himself. He's not, saying, oh, I'm going to get so fat for eating this one thing. But he says, like, this isn't super healthy. Like, I can have some of it. Having some of it's okay. And he doesn't feel bad about it. He's not condemning himself or anything. But that gives me true euphoria. So remembering that and associating my goals to something that gives me true euphoria. Okay, that's what I want you to do. And your eye openers, make sure you write those down every time you have like some kind of an eye opener, like you see your child do a bad habit or crave something that that they shouldn't have even ever had, like soda or something like that, and use those as true eye openers and keep those as anchors for your why. Write them down. Make it a habit to focus on the big picture daily. Meditate on your big picture daily. Every single day, I want you to use the meditation. I want you to, or any meditation, you don't have to use mine, but I want you to use the meditation and legitimately focus on your big picture. Having energy, being happy, being healthy, handing that down to my children, being a good example for my patients, for the people around me, being able to perform better, to think better. I want to be that person that's just at work and they're just killing things and enjoying it and having a good time. And I know that my nutrition is going to play a part in this, on how much I can handle stress and how much I can't. How much inflammation I have in my body and how much I don't is going to make a difference on how I perform in every aspect of my life. Meditate on that big picture and literally feel it being a part of your soul. Know that healthy person is already within you. They're already there. You're just working on kind of pulling them out, right? You're chiseling away at all the bad, getting the bad going, getting bad gone away little by little until finally we find that whole person that you aspire to be. Meditate on that daily. Okay. We talked about compassion for yourself already, and care about, this is something that's kind of I ask you to. I ask for you to join in this fight with me on caring about our food environment. Our food environment now, as you walk through the checkout aisles and there's tons of candy advertised directly for kids. Then we go through the cereal aisle and it's just nothing but junk advertised to our kids. The more we buy into that, the more they're going to produce it. It's an industry, it's a business like anyone else. I'm not judging them for that. But the more that I buy it, the more they're going to produce it. The more they're going to have for advertisements, the more they're going to be able to reach and ruin my child's life and other children's life and the future, the health and future of our nation. So that's a part of making it bigger than you. And really and truthfully, it's just like if you don't like a celebrity, you're not going to watch their videos because you don't want to give them the publicity, good publicity or bad publicity, right? Well, if you don't like what these companies are doing to our nation, to the health of our children, if you don't like the fact that we have children who are diabetic, and especially with COVID, diabetics are not doing well with that. If you don't like the fact that you see children who have horrible self-body issues and they feel out of place, or they feel horrible that they can't play sports like the rest of their friends, their peers, or that they're made fun of because of their weight. If you truthfully care about that, know that every time you buy a product that feeds into that, you're feeding into that. And I'm not saying that we don't do that on occasion. And ultimately, our best bet is to make those kind of treats at home so we're not feeding into it at all. We're all going to do that on occasion. We're all going to do it. But make it a small percentage of what you invest in your food and your nutritional diet. Don't allow it to be the bulk. Because if we all come together and we start caring about the food environment, it would change lives, right? So those are the big things there, right? On allowing ourselves to be self-actualized, especially whenever relating it to our food and having more control over that. I have more topics that I want to talk to y'all about. This is already going long enough, so we're going to break this one up, but we're going to talk more about what you're hungry for and kind of breaking those things down also. But what I want you to ultimately do is when I do blank, I will finally be complete. I want you to find out what that is if you haven't already from some of our other videos. But that is going to show you your biggest why and your biggest thing that you need to work on specifically before you can ever really overcome emotional eating. When I blank, I will finally be complete, and then find out why is that important? Why is that important? And ask that to yourself 7 times over. And that is the core of what you need to fix and need to work on. And that's a beautiful thing, having a journey ahead of you where you're going to be better on the other side. Girl, that's something to be excited about. Don't condemn yourself for it. So I hope this was a lot of eye-openers for you and something super exciting for you. Reach out to me, girl. Tell me what you thought, what you didn't get, what was exciting, what was not. I'm here for you, and I'm super, super happy and proud of you that you made it through this whole video. So, because I know that you are really and truthfully dedicated to your overall health, and I am so psyched for you on that because you're going to make it happen. So, talk to you later. Bye.